So welcome everybody. Warm welcome from my side. I say warm also because it's actually warm in my place today. It's very nice feeling. Warm welcome to our workshop on improving the innovation capacities of SMEs. I see people are joining. It's 2 p.m. We will take a few minutes until all the people get in usually. So I will start with a few words of introduction. So my name is Luc Schmerber. I'm one of the thematic experts for SME competitiveness for the Interreg Europe Policy Learning Platform. And I will be the host of the workshop today with my colleague Mart Veliste. Maybe Mart, you can briefly show up.
Hello.
Mart will help us with the questions, with the chat, and any time during the event. We also have from our team, from the communication team, we have Eugenie with us who supports in the background. And Eugenie will put from time to time information in the chat and different links and so on. And if you have any technical issues or whatever, use the chat during the meeting. Eugenie and Mart are checking it all the time, so we can hopefully help. So that's for the beginning. We have a relatively high registration number. Let's see how many people join. We have almost 150 people registered for this workshop, and quite a full program. So I will just say a few words about the topic of innovation capacities in the policy learning platform in the Interreg Europe SME competitiveness topic. So you see it's one of the 4 head topics for SME competitiveness, and with 9 dedicated projects. But this is only partial picture, because of course when you see the projects which are primarily dedicated to, for instance, supporting some sector like the cultural and creative industry or the food sector or social enterprises or the support to SMEs, they are also dealing partly with innovation capacity of SMEs. It's not like a strict differentiation between projects. So we have quite a lot of projects who deal with different aspects of innovation capacities of SMEs and produce good practices and policy changes. I will try to give you a very short overview. We have a lot of topics within innovation capacities. We have all those good practices and policies about networks and ecosystems, like clusters, like larger events dedicated to innovation, like growth networks, which are all over the places. We will not address those topics specifically today, but probably in future events. We had quite some projects also dealing with different skills and capacities, methods for innovation, design thinking, design, generally speaking, product design, service design, with some quite interesting results. We will also come back to that in the future. And when you will receive the report from the workshop for today, we will also link to previous events and previous information related to those aspects. We have a series of projects and practices dealing with the access to finance for innovation. We have already produced some documents about that. We will also link them. And we have the Innovation Hubs and Center, which is the major topic for today for us, with different type of practices, the incubators, the accelerators, living labs, learning factories, different meeting places which are organized like hubs, not only events and so on. And we will try today to provide an overview of such practices, leaving aside the incubators and the accelerators. We have also had specific events about that and specific documents about that, and that would be too much actually. So coming back to the agenda, so we will have 2 keynote speeches about living labs. From Francesca and Natalja will present themselves. So we have from the European Network of Living Labs, Francesca Spagnoli, and from here the Research Center of Informatics House of Living Labs in Karlsruhe, Natalja Kleiner. And then we'll have 2 thematic sessions where we will get more thematic input from Interreg Europe project and practices. And the first thematic session, which will focus on more traditional sectors, and the second one on the high-tech industries. The separation, again, is not strict, but it was still there are different approaches and different target groups, and we have projects which target more specifically such target groups. And finally, we'll have a few minutes of conclusions where we will also present and say a few words about the Interreg Europe, the new program and the new call, who is going to be launched very soon. Very briefly, we will refer to the upcoming events where you will be able to learn more about that. And that will be the formal end of the workshop. And for some of you, we have those online expert help desk with pre-booked meetings after 5 o'clock. So this is it was on booking, but still I will come back to this also towards the end. If you have any specific questions about practices available from the projects and so on, then you can still get in touch with us after the meeting so that we come back specifically to your questions and organize, if necessary, some individual meeting or some meeting with some representative of projects who can help you with your questions. So that's open all the time for us. So, but without much further words of introduction, I would like to give the word rapidly to our keynote speakers. That's the persons to learn from now. For now, not so much for me. So we will start immediately. And our first speaker today will be Francesca for the next 15-20 minutes from the European Network of Living Labs. And Francesca already started to share a screen. So Francesca, the floor is yours.
Thanks a lot, Luc, and nice to virtually meet you all today. I'm Francesca Spagnoli, and I'm the head of projects and capacity building at the European Network of Living Labs. And I'm very glad to be here today to discuss a little bit in details what are Living Labs and how we can support and improve the innovation capacities of SMEs in the international context. I hope you can see my slides well.
It works fine, Francesca. Go on.
Yeah, thanks. So what is our network? We are an international network recognized in the European context, but as you can see from the map shown here, we have born in 2006, so it's already quite a lot of years, and we have for now certified around 500 living labs around Europe and also in the world. As you can see, we can cover a lot of countries and continents as well of the world. We have most of our members are working for living labs creation in the context of Europe, but we have also representation from Asia, America, Africa, and Oceania. We are growing quite a lot also in the past few years, and we have also been awarded as the Innovation Luminary in Europe. So we are quite working in this specific field for supporting not only SMEs, but also the whole quadruple helix stakeholders that I will show you just in a bit in the next few slides. How we operate, what are our building blocks? So we work towards the creation of a European collaboratory, which is actually not only the constitution of an innovation ecosystems based on living labs, but really a pan-European large-scale open innovation ecosystem that is working also with the other kind of hubs. And that's why we are really interested and keen to collaborate, for example, with the digital innovation hubs, fab labs, and other kind of innovation hubs. We are differences of living labs is that we're working through really a user-centered and participatory approach for experimenting innovations, both on products and service design, and their diffusion through scalable R&D activities. We include all the life cycle approach of the creation of a product or services, which will go from the experimentation through the piloting, testings, pre-market access, and then evaluation of the results achieved on the market. We're working with quite a lot of stakeholders, as you can see here, also towards spreading the open science approach with scientists, citizens, research institutions, publishers, and also governmental governmental institutions. The idea is that we really want to build this virtual environment called the lab, the Living Lab, through the multidisciplinary and transversal approach. We have created also a series of action-oriented task forces on different topics. We have built a tremendous knowledge on specific sectors, and we try to be covering also the most important topics that are now working in the European and international context. For example, the social impact of artificial intelligence, energy and environment, health and well-being. But as you can see here, we have also a series of working groups that you can further scope on our website that are working together with the European Commission, for example, towards creating Living Labs as a regulatory tool for learning, and digital for sustainability, including zero pollution. I will show you also later a bit our capacity building program, since today we are really talking about improving the innovation capacities of SMEs. But let's take a step back. So how Living Labs can empower the SMEs to innovate. I want to show you very briefly what are Living Labs, how we're working, and also what is our approach that we are creating in terms of innovation. So Living Labs operates as intermediaries and orchestrators among these quadruple helix stakeholders you can see represented here on the left side of the picture. So we're working with citizens, researchers, companies, and public, local, and national and international governments. The main objective is that we focus on the joint value co-creation, rapid prototyping and testing for scaling up innovation and businesses at international level. All the Living Labs have very kind of types of the Living Labs, with a lot of differences, but the common point is that the implementation of the Living Labs approach has a common elements, which are the real life setting. We really work with users since day zero from the product or process or service development. We have implemented a multi-method and multi-stakeholder participatory approach based on co-creation and co-design to orchestrate a series of activities through active users' involvement. We also have a three-layer model, which means we're basically focusing our activities on three macro areas, which are macro, meso, and micro level. The macro level is how we collaborate with other public-private public partnership, which are the Living Lab constellations. So the different kind of Living Labs working together to spread open innovation knowledge about open science. Then we have a meso level, which are the specific activities and innovation projects that have been used by the Living Labs through real life experimentation. And finally, the tools and methods, the micro levels that are being implemented for stakeholders engagement, user innovation, and user involvement. We are working a lot on transnational experimentation, which means that really we want to collaborate with all the Living Labs that are based in Europe and beyond Europe. You can find and discover all our members through the link in this presentation, and will be shared later by Eugenie. And we really work on transnational collaboratories. So we want to implement this collaborative approach in a big scale. But which are the living laboratories? So the Living Lab is an innovation intermediary, orchestrating, as we saw, these ecosystems, actors in a region, in a local context, in a city context. We work a lot in the field of, for example, smart cities, green cities, and digital transition. And our objective is to co-design these products. So it's important also to understand the difference between co-design and co-creation. We co-design products and services throughout the whole life cycle approach in an iterative way. We go back and forth, and we analyze what's the best in order to be produced for the market. But then the results of this co-design progress is the co-creation. So what is the social and economic value as well that we are creating as a benefit for our targeted stakeholders? This is our innovation approach. It can be seen as a bit complex in the beginning. We have different series of activities that should be developed in order to produce a timely, a mature product or service. But what is important to understand here is that we always start from the needs analysis of the stakeholders, which are not just the final customers, are really the users who play with the products or services and experiment with that in order to create something that is already able to access the market with the less percentage of abortion. In the next slides, I will also show you some of our success stories from Living Labs and inspirational stories from our members. And you will see, for example, that in a specific case in Belgium, we have seen that it's very clearly stated that the Living Labs are producing a value already before accessing the market. And I think this is very important for SMEs, for improving the innovation capacities of SMEs, because that's the most important point, to not have issues when you're going into the market. By the way, the Living Labs integrative process shows very clearly, I think, in this image, how we work. So we work starting from the problem space. We have to empathize with our stakeholders. We need to understand who are the users that we want to include in our panel management approach. So we involve pool of users in a manager approach. We involve them since from the selected practice. So what's the problem that you want to solve in your context, in your city, in your company? We integrate the stakeholders in a people-public-private partnership model. And then we define, we still go back and uncover barriers before even starting the co-designing approach. Finally, we prototype, we test, we implement, and we scale up the solution starting from the initial scope analysis. Now I want to give you some information about our Living Lab stories. We start, as I was explaining, with IMEC Living Labs, which is a big institutional center based in Brussels in Belgium and also in several areas of Belgium. It's interesting what they saw. They are also a research center, so they were analyzing, of course, what is the outcomes of the Living Lab support for SMEs and also startups. So we have seen that by implementing this Living Lab approach, the potential of abortion of product or service before coming even into the process development is quite high with Living Labs approaches. Why? Because of course we try to involve the users from day zero, so even when they're starting with the needs analysis and with the identification of the idea of the product or services, they are involved throughout the whole value chain. So if, for example, an initial product is aborted, we have a new product idea to be developed and the new roadmap is initiated. But then there is a process of testing and adaptation after the development. And when we launch, the product is already available in the market, and there's also a valuable results for the final customers, because also in the panel management system, we involve a big number of users. They're already involved in the process of the ideation, and then they represent quite similarly what will be the final customers in the market. As you can see here, there are some representations also in terms of percentages of the difference between Living Lab projects and usual innovation project testing without the real life testing. And it's quite clear that we reduce the abortion of a product or service when we are in the development or market reach phase, while it's higher in the first processes. Here you will find also some references to the papers that have been published by Peter Ballon and Dimitris Kurman and Miriam van Oud from IMEC Living Lab. And what is interesting to see is that they have perceived and analyzed significant positive economic effects in terms of investments and employment and turnover within Living Labs. In fact, for each €1 public invested in the Living Lab project, 1.5 was released in follow-up private investments. So Living Labs are not just about funding with public funding or projects funding. It's really about how we make innovation as a company's, from a company's point of view. So private investments were really high when we look and work through this Living Lab approach, because it has been proved to be quite effective. Also in terms of not only of the product development process, service and access to market, but also in the employment foreseen for the people who are working in this process. Then here you will see the evidence of impact. There are some references just for future analysis if you want. Another example I would like to discuss about is the Energy Living Lab Association and Living Labs for Decarbonization. This has been created in Switzerland from the Energy Living Lab that is coming from the SO University, of course, in the Swiss context. And together with the funding from the government, they have created this ENTNU Innovation Booster. What is the Innovation Booster? Is the objective of this new Living Lab network is also to create and change the culture of how the energy projects are co-designed and implemented by huge set of actors. So SMEs together with and for especially the academia. So they try to involve in these new product services development, some progress with the key target stakeholders and experiment with them in a real life setting. They start from the ideas. They have created a platform that is called Open Lab Days, where people can access and interact and talk about their brainstorming ideas for a product or a service development. They create some innovation teams. There will be just a small co-funding, and the other part of the funding is from the government, as I was saying. And then they fund projects thanks to this approach. As a result, only in 2021, which is the year of foundation of the NTU Innovation Booster, 13 innovation teams have been funded through the development of 8 hybrid events, some in person and some online due to COVID as well, with a total of 362 participants, which is actually quite a huge number. And as you can see, what they're trying to do is to create innovation spread all throughout Switzerland. So everyone can join. Every kind of startup, SMEs, or even citizens can join, share their ideas, get them funded, and also be developed by using this participatory approach. And I think it's a nice opportunity for everyone working in this field to get their ideas funded. So I really would like you to, if you want, to keep you in contact with them. There is also a link here with all the information. The third success story, so an inspirational story that I would like to show you today, is quite interesting in a complex ecosystem that is coming from the Ocean Living Lab, that is a large-scale sustainable open innovation lab based in the Basque Country. You will have the great opportunity during the second thematic session to meet with Joaquin Garatea, who is the director of this Living Lab, and will provide you with more information. But here, just to give you some nice overview of the great activities that they have been done in the area of the Basque Country.
Francesca, we have 3 minutes left. So yeah.
Sure, no problem. I'm about to go. Yeah. So here you will see a large-scale open innovation lab to attract companies through the innovation in strategic sustainable projects, improve the quality of life through its environment, social and economic credentials. The area is quite spread through close to Bilbao. They have some priority work areas, but what is important is that they connect companies in the territory in 2 ways: by internationalizing companies and also by bringing external companies from Spain into the context of the Basque Country. You can see here the startup promotion. There are just 3 cases in different areas. The main thing is that they managed to make the funding for R&D projects for SMEs, and also to obtain some scholarships for the ones who wanted to be involved in the project, not only from the SMEs context. I will not go into details, but as you can see, they have collaborated with big companies around the world, like Quicksilver, in the specific context of the improving the protection of citizens on the beaches. And then there are quite short and long-term implementation of this plan. For the attraction to the Basque Country, as you can see here, there are some creation of products coming from Finnish companies, from French companies that would like to work with the Basque country's companies in order to develop social projects. And I think they have very well succeeded in getting this represented. One final success case from Başakşehir Living Lab in Turkey. There was a big problem here because they were using water, but they were not reusing what could be the results of clean water. So the problem here is that the system didn't collect reliable chemical values. The analysis of costs were not clear due to lack of automation and control mechanisms. So they succeeded through the Living Lab approach and with the help of the users to recycling the water that was wasted. And I think that's a very good case on how we can support the SMEs, not only to attract funding, but also to make them working professionally in a context of Living Labs with the users to create a new product or a service. Finally, if you want to know more about Living Labs, we have a full annual capacity building program, which can support the innovation capacities of SMEs, which is composed by face-to-face trainings, online or also presential meetings, site visits, and courses. In terms of courses, on 5th of April, we will start with the Virtual Learning Lab course, which is an hands-on application to specific cases for people who would like to learn more about Living Labs, but also to open up a Living Lab. And as you can see here, we will have a full 2 months of lessons where you can learn about the basics of Living Labs, stakeholder engagement, governance models, business models, till the evaluation of impacts of Living Labs. And so we will be happy to see you on the Virtual Learning Lab. And if you have any question, we'll be happy to take it. Thanks.
Thank you, Francesca. We have little bit of time for taking immediate questions to Francesca. And but of course, I didn't mention it. Eugenie wrote it in the chat. You will get all the documents after the meeting also. Mart, we have some questions from the participation? I see one question from John.
Yep. Thank you, Francesca, for this nice overview of what Living Labs is and these various case studies. And indeed, we have first question from John, asking that how do you ensure the entrepreneur's intellectual property in the case of open Living Lab environment?
Okay, thanks a lot, John. That's a very good question, but let's remind ourselves that openness doesn't mean only that we share everything in an open way. Of course, we are talking more about how we share openly the results and the knowledge of what is produced as a final results of the product and service development. But still, we are using patents, we are using IPRs, and the results that needs to be protected will be protected in the usual ways of SMEs. While we really try to, we are very keen in exploring the opportunity to also present the results in scientific papers with open access and so on.
Thank you. And maybe I'll ask one more question that, as you know, a lot of our audience today are public authorities representing regions, and maybe just you could elaborate a bit on what can or should be the role of a regional authority in this sort of a partnership in forming living labs in our territories. Is it just funding or is it something further?
Sure, thanks, Mart. That's a very good question. We're working quite a lot with the regions and cities around Europe. We have initiated an initiative, a European initiative that is called Living in EU. I will add the link in the chat. And we have a declaration for regions and cities that would like to, for example, implement digital transformation processes in their own local context. We're working hard towards building a capacity building program for public governments in order to make this digital transformation happen. We're doing something similar also in the energy context. And some of our living labs are also funded and created by local authorities. For example, we have Brinkmann and Oven, we have Basakci Living Lab that actually is funded by the government itself. So you can also be a very relevant and central actor in this process. It doesn't have to be just a company that is interested in creating a product development. Also because we are shifting the Living Lab approach from 2006 until now, from the product and service development to the value that we are co-creating for the users. So citizens is central, government is central, and I think it's nice for government also to try to understand how to improve also with tools and learnings, the approach of citizens, how we approach them, how we can involve them, because that's usually the weakest point for public authorities. So I think it's very, very much aligned, and there is a very lively approach that we are developing. So we'll be happy to be in contact for further questions.
Thank you.
Thank you, Francesca. I cannot see direct questions right now, but maybe there will be some in the next minute. So we can go to the second presentation and come back quickly together with Francesca and Natalja with a short panel discussions toward the end of this session. So there will be some occasion for a few questions, or of course, after the workshop, getting in touch directly with European Network of Living Labs for deeper interaction then. Natalja, I see you already almost on stage, so you can share your screen. Yes, we can see it. It works fine.
Right.
Okay, we can hear you. Please go on.
Great. Thank you, Luke, very much. And hello, everybody, and welcome to my short presentation of the FZI House of Living Labs, the technology platform for innovation and co-creation. Before I go deeper into the House of Living Labs, maybe a few facts about me. My name is Natalja Kleiner. I started in 2008 as a research scientist at FZI with a focus on intelligent contingency management in systems and logistics, contingency management systems in logistics, transportation, and later also in production and artificial intelligence. And since 2008 and 19, I'm a department manager of innovation and demonstration and transfer, which is a part of the division innovation strategy and transfer. And I'm also the coordinator of the FZI House of Living Labs. So now the focus of my daily work slightly shifted more towards technology and knowledge transfer, living labs, new working methods, and co-creation, as well as digital citizen participation. Since FZI House of Living Labs is a part of the FZI, I'd like to share a few facts about the FZI with you. As an independent foundation, FZI was founded in 1985. And so for more than 35 years, we stand for excellent applied research in field of information and communication technologies, and we work with partners from industry, business, science, associations, and the public sector. We are also an innovation partner of the Karlsruhe Institute of Technology, and our goal is to develop innovations for the benefit of society and to offer excellent researchers a unique springboard to their future career. A few data about the FZI. In 2020, 251 employees have been working on 178 projects, more than 50% of, a little more than 50% of them public funded projects, and we were supported by 202 research assistants. So what is our mission? At the FZI, our mission is to take the knowledge and the research results from the research and transfer it to the practice. So especially SMEs. And on the other hand, when we are talking to companies, to SMEs, to public service organizations, we also get an impression of what their challenges are and what the topics are they are working at. And so we use them as impulses, again, to shape the research of the future or our future research activities. So now to the FZI House of Living Labs, since it's one of our transfer tools. The FZI House of Living Labs can be seen as a technology platform for research and evaluation. It's an innovative research environment on more than 2,000 square meters in Karlsruhe, and in 7 living labs, small and medium-sized companies are working on cross-sectoral research, evaluation, and development of innovative solutions. Very important for us is the participative research and development approach and the possibility to develop and evaluate experimental technologies in real-life scenarios. We also provide cutting-edge high-tech equipment and infrastructures to our partners, as for example, information and communication technologies, vehicles, and many more. Knowledge and technology transfer is also very important for House of Living Labs. So therefore, we offer innovative transfer formats, as for example, open innovation workshops or virtual collaboration environments. And we also offer various lab tours and events, especially on current topics like applied artificial intelligence, energy, or mobility. Since 2013, we had about 580 visitors from all sectors, from science, politics, industry, and society. And to stay up to date, we are continuously upgrading our infrastructure and equipment, and we are continuously developing new demonstrators. So far, the overview, but now to the important and exciting question, how can House of Living Labs act as an innovation driver? How can it help SMEs to innovate? Well, first of all, the House of Living Labs is a perfect environment for demonstration. It's a platform and it's a demonstration platform. We have a lot of interactive demonstrators which allow the visitors, the SMEs, to experience and to understand often complex technologies, and therefore it is the perfect source of inspiration for SMEs. On the other hand, in projects, but also in during events and during workshops we are hosting in the House of Living Labs, we bring together different players from the research, from the policy, from the industry, and of course citizens, so that they can work together, they can discuss different problems and discuss different solutions, and thereby inspire each other with their ideas, with their knowledge. And speaking of knowledge, of course, because we have 7 different living labs in our house, we are able to bundle this interdisciplinary competences from different application areas, and so to act as a one point of contact for the SMEs when they are searching for experts, helping them with their innovation projects. But knowledge isn't always enough. Sometimes they also need technology, and technology can be very expensive. So often SMEs don't realize their innovation ideas because they don't want to buy this expensive technology and then maybe throw it away if the idea doesn't work. So we are providing access to newest technology for SMEs so that they don't have to buy it. And with this, we also are providing test before invest possibilities, so possibilities for testing and validation of new innovative solutions in real life scenarios. So that SMEs, if they have an idea or a product or something, they can test it in a real life scenario in our lab, and it doesn't disrupt their everyday work processes. And last but not least, of course, with our events, with our workshops, we give technology providers and technology users the ability for exchange and for finding each other. And therefore, we often initiate new cooperations with our events and our workshops, and they often result in new innovation projects. So far, the theory. Now I would like to use some of my time to show you or to give you a little look inside and to show you 2 use cases of some successful cooperations with SMEs. I'll quickly change the tool. So hopefully you now see.
It works, yeah, it seems to work.
Great. So now we are standing in front of the FZI House of Living Labs. This is how it looks like when you arrive in Karlsruhe. And since we are standing outside, I'd like to jump behind the building and show you our first use case. The first use case is the IFA shuttle. As you can see here in the middle, it's a small, it's a mini bus. It's interconnected and autonomously driving. And its purpose is to connect the last mile, so to connect the bus or tram stop to your home. So, for example, if you arrive at a bus and tram stop and you don't want to walk home, you can just get the IFA shuttle app. You just order one of these little minibuses, and it autonomously drives to your position, picks you up, and brings you home. These IFA shuttles are part of an innovative multimodal mobility concept, which tries to combine the sustainability of the public transport with the comfort of the individual transport. And this innovative mobility concept was developed in our FZI Living Lab Future Mobility. I'll just jump in the building so you can have a peek into the lab. This is our autonomous driving car. And so the mobility concept was developed and designed in the lab, but it was tested on our test area autonomous driving Baden-Württemberg. It's an area within the city. There are certain streets marked as a testing area where you can test your autonomous driving vehicles. And so these minibuses, they were tested in the real life scenario with real passengers driving between real cars and real pedestrians on this test area autonomous driving. So now I would like to show you a second use case. The second use case is from our Living Lab Smart Energy. As you can see, the lab is full of different energy infrastructure, batteries, and everything you need for your energy research. And the batteries, for example, are charged by the solar panels which are installed on our roof. And in this lab, we developed a smart energy management system for buildings. So the first task was to equip the whole, or at least parts of the House of the Living Labs with sensors, which can determine such things like energy consumption or temperature of the rooms or in the rooms. And in the second step, we created a virtual representation of the building. So you can just take your iPad and you can click on a certain point in the building, and you can easily access the sensor data collected from with the sensors in this room, for example. So you can look what temperature does it have, what temperature is at near the floor, what temperature is near the ceiling, what is the energy consumption in this room, which device has which energy consumption, and you can do this all in the virtual representation. I'm not quite sure how much time I still have left. If
a few minutes.
So maybe then I'll jump to a third use case. Just late.
Let's 2-3 minutes if it's fine.
That's fine. I don't have any slides.
Yeah.
So that's our digital twin use case. That's also a use case which we developed together with an SME in our Living Lab Industrial Intelligence. Here we built a small robot arm in the House of Living Labs, as a real robot arm, and a small replica of a filling line. And we also built a virtual representation of the robot arm and the filling line. And the purpose of this virtual representation is that you get the sensor data from this real robot arm. You get the sensor data here in your app on your tablet or on your iPad, and you can check whether everything is okay, or if some sensor values deviate and you see, oh, there is a problem, you can give a command to this virtual robot arm, and the command is passed through to the real robot arm. So you can control the virtual representation and thereby control the real representation. That is the third use case. So far, a few examples. Maybe I quickly change back to my slides. And so thank you for listening. And if you'd like to visit us in Karlsruhe or to get a virtual tour, don't hesitate to contact me. And if you now have any questions, I'll be glad to answer them. Thank you, Natalja. That might be a nice thing to do, a workshop at your places. I had the chance to do that once. It was really interesting some years ago, but maybe we have questions. Mart, do we have questions?
Yeah, I can ask a question regarding maybe the lessons learned. So you've been working with this House of Living Labs, which is very impressive, and you have 7 different living labs in your facility and doing all sorts of innovation. But maybe what has been for you this sort of a lesson learned in managing this sort of a hub of living labs, something to recommend to other regions who also plan to set up a similar facility?
Okay. One of our very positive lessons learned is that interdisciplinary work is really useful in projects, as for example, the IFA shuttle. I didn't mention it earlier. In the IFA shuttle, we also had different legal and liability questions. And it was very useful that we have a living lab, security and law. So we didn't have to search for someone else who could help us with it. We just gave it to our living lab security and law, and they analyzed the problems and developed a solution. So it is really helpful to have different disciplines, different application areas under one roof. So that's definitely a pro. And I'm thinking the only problem that we were really having is that each lab has its difficulties. As for example, our Smart Health and AAL lab, they have different difficulties with ethical issues if they do some research on health aspects. Or for the autonomous driving, we also had another different problem with being allowed to drive the autonomous driving on the street. So you have a lot of small problems you have to deal with, and you have to manage how it works, and you have to manage the communication between the labs. But all together, I think the positive effects are larger than the negative.
Thank you. And we have a clarifying question from the audience from Federica as well. So who are the sponsors of FCI?
The sponsors of FCI or of the Living Labs?
The question was about the FCI, but I guess you can answer how you see best.
At FCI, we don't have, we are partly funded by public funding, and we are also doing public funded projects. And we are also getting some of our money from projects we are making directly with some companies. And we have a lot of companies who are supporting us, not monetarily, but with expertise or with their network. And the House of Living Labs was built up within a project, a public funded project. And now actually we are mostly financed either the single demonstrators by the publicly funded projects or with about direct cooperations with SMEs or other companies.
Thank you. I think that answers the question.
A question from Natalja from my side. You mentioned that you work a lot with research assistants. Where do those people go when they leave do they go in the local industry? Or are they? Is it also a way of doing transfer to the?
Of course. A lot of our research assistants go into the local industries. Often we have companies in our projects, and they go directly to these companies because they know the company, they know what they are doing, and the company knows them. So that's often the case, and sometimes we are lucky to keep them and to win them as researchers. But mostly they go to the companies, to the local companies, and sometimes also the companies outside of the region.
Okay, thank you for that. And I had one complementary question. Yeah, when you work in project with companies, is it mostly single company projects, or are you having also a lot of multiple collaborative projects with different companies?
It differs if it's a direct cooperation or if it's a public funded project. In public funded projects, we almost always have several companies and mostly other research institutions also. When we have our direct cooperations, it's mostly one company. Sometimes there are two if we realize, okay, we need help with realizing a problem, solving a problem, as for example, realizing an app. We can do app development, but in this case, we don't want to, so we contact another company. But this is not so often the case. Mostly the direct cooperations are with one company.
Okay, thank you. So maybe we can just ask before we close the session, Francesca, to come briefly on back on stage for one or two generic questions, maybe as I wanted to ask maybe both of you, with your experience, do you see a change or an evolution of the innovation needs or innovation attitudes of companies over the past years through your activities? If they are moving towards, I don't know, more technology, more digital, or is it more about skills? Or are there clear trends that you can observe in the requests that you get?
Yeah, perhaps I can take it if Natalja agrees. So first of all, I see that there is a lot of changes that are directly, let's say, not imposed, but created through the funding from the public funding. So now we're moving a lot in terms of digital innovation hubs. That is the new, I don't know, Saint Graal of innovation. And then every 5 to 6 years, the topics are changing, the namings, the labeling are changing, and everyone is going in the same direction. But apart from them, I think that now people really understood that innovation should come together along with the users, which was very, very tough in the beginning of the Living Labs era, let's say, to let them understand, especially, I mean, for governments, for small cities. You can imagine it was very, very complex also because there was this important point of view that, yeah, but if we open up to the stakeholders, then we can get criticized, or we need to build trust with them. I think we have been quite successful in this, at least in the context of the Living Labs. So perhaps the next step step now is to create innovation that can be a little bit more sustainable over time, which is still at least the weakest point that we perceive in our context. And it's also very difficult, as Natalja was saying, to get funded not only from public funds for Living Labs. So I think it's really a matter of being together, collaborate with other companies and trying to get investments, also not only from public funders, but from private investments, private funds. And I think we're working towards the right direction, but it's still very difficult to get in the future picture as a concrete result.
Okay. Do you see the Digital Innovation Hub as a competition basically for Living Labs, or
no, I don't think it's a competition. Of course, it's now the new topic, the new enabling. So I think that some of the digital innovation hubs understands that it might be interesting to collaborate and also successful. But of course, it's very, very technologically focused. Now we're moving more to social also values, not only like the technologies, how we build the technologies, but how we build the value for the community. And sometimes we have in the digital innovation hubs very skilled, technologically focused people, but not very using the approach for user participation. So this is what we are trying to do in terms of match. And of course, we're happy to collaborate with digital innovation hubs.
Okay, thank you, Francesca. Natalja, do you have a comment on this innovation needs and practices and demands from the companies?
Yeah, maybe more on your questions about the digital innovation hubs.
Yeah, fine.
Because I completely agree. I don't think that digital innovation hubs are a competition to Living Labs, especially since we as FZI, we are a digital innovation hub, and we are a digital innovation hub because of our Living Lab. And we even are just now in a project where we really benefit from having our Living Lab as a digital innovation hub. So I think it's more useful to cooperate, and I don't think that it's a competition.
Okay, thank you for that. Maybe one closing question to both of you. We mentioned the involvement of the users as a key part, of course, of the Living Lab methodology. How do Living Labs manage to involve users, if it's, for instance, citizens or end users? Is there a need for having some incentives, or what are the methods there?
Maybe I'll start if it's okay for you, Francesca. For involving the citizens, we have made a very good experience with a kind of open lab days. We have once a year, we have an FZI open house. It's open for businesses, and we have two events. We have one when it's open for our partners and small and SMEs, and we have one event when we open to the public, so the citizens can also visit our Living Labs and take a peek. And we often take part in city fairs or some events with the citizens where we present selected demonstrators from our Living Lab. So that is how we get the citizens involved in our process. And we also do selected projects or selected workshops when we invite citizens to contribute and discuss several questions with them. So that's how we try to involve the citizens in the meaning of the citizen participation.
Okay, thank you, Natalja. Francesca, you want to say a few words?
Thanks. So we also have the annual conference of Enel, the Open Living Lab Days, where we open up to everyone to join us in person, hopefully this year in Turin, in Italy, in September. But then we always try to also support our Living Labs in involving the users in the specific activities. We have a panel management methodology that has been released by the AMEC Living Lab, and we really try to get these panels, these pools of citizens, users, representative of the targeted stakeholders already in the idea generation or in the analysis of the needs. So it doesn't have to be like just a spot on different kind of initiatives, but something that is more on a regular basis since the beginning to the end of the project. So we really would like to have this as a value chain rather than just get them feedback about the the products or the services. And I think this is the winning point of our network.
Okay, thank you, Francesca. That will be also the closing word for this this session. Thank you, Francesca. Thank you, Natalja. So you will get, everybody will get the presentations after the event, and both Francesca and Natalja invited to get in touch directly in case of specific needs or collaboration opportunities. Thank you for both of you for being with us today. We appreciate it very much. And yeah, we in the initial agenda, we had a break after this session. I would suggest that we skip it today, because we all have some of the speakers who come after who have also some time constraints. So it would maybe bring us too late in the afternoon if we make a break. And usually when we ask people if they need a break, they say no. So I hope it's okay for everybody. And we would then move directly to the first thematic session, where we'll be looking at some practices targeted at more in traditional sectors, and then the second session, the more high-tech sectors. So we will have some other type of practices right now that we can hear from. And I would invite our first speaker from Sweden, Maja Blomberg. I can see that you have your camera on, so welcome to our workshop. So you would be the first one to present, Maria, and you can already share your presentation if you'd like. We can see if that works.
Let's see if it works.
Yeah, we can hear you at least, so that works fine.
I would like to share this one and put it in presenting mode. That's not the one I wanted.
So we can see the slides, and then you just need to go in presentation mode.
Like this. Okay.
It works fine. Go on,
okay.
Maria.
Pretty good. Hello, I am Maria, but I need to correct you. I'm not from Sweden, even if I'm Swedish speaking. We are in Western Finland, where we woke up to minus 17 degrees this morning.
Sorry for the mistake, Finland. It's written on my paper, but okay.
yeah, very good. So I'm working at Stundars Museum. So this is one of the largest outdoor museums in Finland. I'm thinking about Europe and everything. We are now going very small scale when it comes to how many people we are meeting, but still we have a concept we would like to share with you. We are an outdoor museum, and as you can see from the pictures, we have, no, not all 70, but we have 70 buildings showing rural life in Ostrobotnia region, Western Finland, 1870 to 1920. So this is the main part. We are quite old because this museum organization was founded by the village teacher Gunnar Rosenholm in 1938, and we continue to evolve. So we have a long tradition of showing life to people. But connected to craft code, we want to pass on craft traditions and skills to a younger generation. And we also host markets to promote local crafts and handmade products. So our main pillars for the museum is our building conservation, because we have so many of them. The other one is craft and traditions. And the third leg we stand on is museum pedagogy, how to show this to other to visitors. Connected to our museum and the basis for our skill telling about traditional skills is a separate organization. We have a craft guild, Björken, with around 100 members. They have a system of apprentice journeymen and master craftsmen. And they are very active, a sister organization for our museum. Craft demonstrations, we call them Artisans Days. We hold a few in May, let's say 2 to 4, 5 days, depending on how many schools are interested in showing up. Those days are mainly school buses or buses with pupils coming in, and they bring about 200 to 400, sometimes even 500 students a day. But during the summer, we hold 2 artisan days, one in June and the other one in the end of summer, end of July or beginning of August. So this is something we do regularly every year. Of course, COVID has made some restrictions these last 2 years, but this is something we have been doing since the 70s. We also host an autumn market. The autumn market takes in about 50 vendors. Visitors, this is always 2,000 to 5,000 visitors. They are also potential customers for our vendors. The vendors are both hobby crafters and entrepreneurs. I think myself, I've been working with this for 6 years now. The entrepreneur part is growing. So the hobby crafters are still with us, but the entrepreneur part is growing. We offer a platform for very different backgrounds. But our Christmas market is something even bigger. We have 70 vendors and vendors on the waiting list. I need to tell you, our museum area is geographically, we don't have room for more than 70 vendors. We can't grow. And 2 to 3, 4 months before a market, the phone is hot, asking for places to these markets. And the Christmas market can bring up to 4,000 to 8,000 visitors, potential customers. People are not only coming to buy stuff, they also come for the experience and the atmosphere. Some say that there is no Christmas without Stundars Christmas market. So they are all waiting for it. We have some challenges, of course, and also strength. We are in a village a little south of Vasa, very small, 2,000 inhabitants in this village. So the lack of public transportation means that everyone is coming by a car, every visitor, and we have a lack of parking spaces. So it's chaos in the village when we arrange something. And of course, our craft guild is always looking for new crafters, and the recruitment there is a challenge. And outdoor museum, if there is rain, there is less visitors and potential customers. But our strengths are our historical setting. We have our museum area that is the basis for everything. We also appreciate the active guild members. They are working voluntarily every time we put up something. That they are just coming in and meet the public. They are the hosts for our events. And also, since we have been working with this for 50 years, we have established routines. This is a working concept for us. And thank you very much. I am Maria Blomberg, museum assistant at Stundars Museum, Western Finland. Very cold today.
Yeah, it's a difference. I have almost +7, no, +13. I guess it's a big difference. But thank you, Maria.
Thank you
for this interesting presentation. I mentioned we wanted to have pretty different types of practices, and we are here in a very different one. Maybe you can say a few words how it's. I think you started to mention it develops entrepreneurship and how it helps a bit the craft companies, the craft workers in your area to develop and to become better.
Of course, our markets are open for everybody, and I could give an example. We had is it coffee roastery started 2 years ago here. They came in as vendors for the first time on the autumn market almost 1.5 years ago, September 20, and they had a queue all the time, and they are more entrepreneurial than the knitting ladies, if I say so. So they can come in with their new products and feel the market. Is the price point correct? Is this a product that is sellable in this region? Mm-hmm. But we are talking local craft, so
yeah, that's understood. Yeah, but it's a place where they all come to sell the new products and try to test. And,
our markets are, yes. Stundars is not selling anything. We just offer the platform for it.
Yeah. Thank you. Mart, do we have questions from the audience or other?
The microphone.
Sorry, not in the chat, but I think so I would like to encourage people to write their questions, but also we have the opportunity for people to turn on their microphone and ask directly, I guess. And,
yeah, sure.
And I saw that somebody was trying to turn on their microphone, so maybe, I don't know if Britt wanted to ask something, or if not, then just that you have this opportunity to also raise your virtual hand in Zoom, and we can give the word for you. But otherwise, I want to say I found this presentation very interesting. We also have a similar outdoor museum here in Estonia, and in northern Estonia, and I never sort of thought of it as maybe a cross-cutting place for innovation and piloting and so on. So it was very also enlightening for me to think of it this way. And I do see this connection, how it for creative industries especially, it can also be a good place to test your new products and your new training services and so on. So
yeah, but we are always aware of our basis is the museum. The markets can come in as a byproduct in a way. It's a marketing opportunity when people visit us, but still the market needs to be, below the museum. It can't, threat it in any way. Yeah, but still very popular, and we are proud of our markets, of course.
Did you have any transfer activities in the framework of Craftscode towards other regions with this practice?
Excuse me.
Did you discuss the transfer of this practice to other regions in the Craftscode project? Or?
I don't really know. I feel like I have been coming in from the side.
Yeah, okay.
I was interviewed. I am as a good practice, or we are Stundars as a museum on the web page. We are one of the good practices from Finland. And of course, this is so much about entrepreneurship, SMEs and everything. I feel that our main point here is tradition and keeping old skills. We really want to keep them alive.
Okay, thank you for that. And we have a comment from Constanza from Firenze, who is informing about the European Artistic Craft Days, which is a similar initiative. So Constanza is also working in the Craftscode.
Constanza, I'm not aware of that, but I can look into it. Yeah. But still, I work at a museum. That's my main.
There's a question. The question comes from Frederica, who asks if you're part of a network of international outdoor museums.
At least in these Nordic countries, we have quite big networks, and we can also have projects together. We had a project about Arctic wood a few years ago, so with Norway, Denmark, Russia.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Maria.
Thank you.
So we move now to France, where it's less cold, I would think, with Alexandra.
Yes, it's not so cold today.
Alexandra, so you can start your presentation from the Factory of the Future. It works well, we can see it.
Okay, thank you very much. So good afternoon. I would like to thank the Interreg Europe Policy Learning Platform for its invitation. I'm Alexandra Beaudrouet, Innovation Manager for the European Cluster of Ceramics located in Limoges in France. And today I will speak about our good practice from CRE Interreg Europe project, which is Factory of the Future in Nouvelle-Aquitaine applied to artistic ceramic SMEs. So first, I would like to introduce Région Nouvelle-Aquitaine. It is located in the southwest of France. It is the third economic French region and the leader in France concerning R&D. It's also the first French region in ornamental and tableware ceramics, and 40% of employees of this sector work in Nouvelle-Aquitaine, and most of them here in Limoges area. And of course, our cluster, the European Cluster of Ceramics, is in Limoges too. So our competitiveness cluster is a unique cluster dedicated to ceramics and certified by the French government since 2005. Our cluster is considered as an expert in France. It brings more than 160 members in the ceramics field, company, research and technologies organization, and also training centers, mainly in France, but also abroad, for example, in Germany, Switzerland, Portugal, Belgium, and Italy. Our mission is to boost the activity of the ceramic sector through innovation. Our goal is to accelerate innovation thanks to our active support of the engineering team, to boost growth through networking and visibility activities, and to develop business on the European and international scale. We have 4 strategic business fields, of course, luxury and creations with tableware, health, environment and housing, energy and transport, and also electronics and photonics. We have 2 technological fields, Factory of the Future and surface treatments, that serve these 4 business fields. So our cluster is a partner of CLE Interreg Europe project. The aim of CLE is to boost SMEs competitiveness in the ceramic sector through interregional policy learning. We are 6 partners, so the leader partner is the region Umbria from Italy. AEUCC is the Association of the European Cities of Ceramic from Spain. Oltenia region from Romania. CTCV, Technological Center of Ceramics and Glass from Portugal. South Ostrobosnia region from Finland, and us. This project started in 2018, and now we are in phase 2, and we follow our famous action plan. And during the first phase of this project, we share good practice, and today I will introduce one from my region, Factory of the Future in Nouvelle-Aquitaine applied to artistic ceramics SMEs. So because tomorrow is coming today, the improvement of industrial performance and the modernization of the production tool are becoming major issue here in Nouvelle-Aquitaine. Our region helps companies to achieve operational excellence and support them for their transition to a digital and connected factory. The first step is to aware company about Factory of the Future program to detect projects and needs. For that, our region launch call for expression of interest twice a year. Then, if the company is selected, a free pre-diagnosis is made by private external experts. This diagnostic is financing by Europe and Région Nouvelle-Aquitaine also to write a 2-year roadmap. Then, according to this pre-diagnosis, the region has 5 itineraries to help companies to modernize the production tool and integrate new technological and organizational know-how. So the first one is sustainable factory, the second one, organization and management, the third one is to additive manufacturing, the fourth one, robotics, and the last one, but not least, data booth manufacturing. Today, I will only focus on the itinerary to additive manufacturing. So ceramic 3D printing is an emerging segment with the 3D printing industry that began its commercial journey in the past 10 years. Ceramic 3D printing has been used primarily for research and development and also for prototypes, but it is seeing increasing interest from sectors looking for ceramic tooling and small batch parts. That is why our regions want to support companies to develop ceramic additive manufacturing. Thanks to this itinerary to additive manufacturing, companies could have 4 days of individual support and also 4 days of collective training. The aim is to know how to integrate additive manufacturing and which process. 50% of costs of this training support is paid by the region, and the final cost for the company is €2,800. After, company can carry out technical study to validate the technology through proof of concept, and in that case, region adapts the aid according to each project. So evidence of success. So at the end of 2019, more than 600 companies have been selected in Nouvelle-Aquitaine within the framework of call for expression of interest, and 60% of them have less than 60 employees. 554 diagnoses have been made to date, and 20 companies are following the additive manufacturing itinerary. So here you can see example of ceramics SMEs from Limoges who follow the Factory of the Future program. And here, to be more concrete, I had an image about ceramic additive manufacturing by micro extrusion. So the ceramic paste, is here inside the head, and you can put the part like this. So thank you for your attention, and I'm ready for questions.
Thank you, Alexandra. So we can take questions. Maybe you can just then stop sharing the presentation. Thank you. We can take questions directly from the audience. As Mart suggested, you can also raise your voice to ask questions. You don't need to type them into the chat directly. I have an initial first question. Maybe Alexandra, when look at we've seen the ceramic sector is a traditional sector, but also using high-tech high-tech technologies.
Yes.
How easy or difficult was it to access the companies? Did you have a high response when you reached out to the company? You showed them some figures, but still, for me to understand, was it a large response from the industry to your
yes. We have 160 members, and we have about 85% of members of industrial company. Mm-hmm. And when I visit a traditional company, so first they told me that innovation is not for me because I'm work in traditional sector, you know. But in fact, when I begin to speak with them, they said, maybe yes, innovation is for me too. And we also organize a workshop dedicated to traditional ceramics in order to improve innovation in this sector. Yes.
Okay. And what is the key success factor when you talk with them? Is it about the skills, the technologies, or the mindset of the people? Where do you need to take them to drive them towards more innovation?
Maybe the mindset is difficult. The mindset is the main difficulty for us because we have to change it. But now I work for the cluster since 2018, and I think that the mindset is changing now. So I think it will be easy in the future, I hope, to increase innovation in this traditional sector.
Okay. Do you see major barriers for innovation apart from that? Is it a high investment, a difficult investment to engage into that kind of productions, or?
You can find a very not so expensive 3D printer for ceramic. And here in Limoges, we are very lucky because we have a Fab Lab, which is open to SMEs. And so they can go in this lab fab and to try different equipment of additive manufacturing. So after it's easy maybe to change mind and maybe to buy equipment.
Okay.
And it's the first step for prototype also. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, that's good. So and there is, I understood, there is this regional support along the process to help people to engage into that. Huh? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
What about new companies in the sector? We talked about changing the mindset of maybe pre-existing companies in this sector, but do these new technologies also open up opportunities that somebody would from day one?
Yes. Yes, of course, because now we have a lot of startup in this traditional sector. For example, near Limoges, a new startup is open maybe 2 years ago. It's called Beaudrouet, and he built a jar in ceramic for wine, you know, like in Italy.
Like the ancient Roman times.
Yes, yes, a big jar in ceramic, and this jar were printed thanks to additive manufacturing. So it's in ceramic, but printing. So it's a startup just here. And we have also another startup who develop a new 3D printing of ceramic. And you can very print big pieces, and it's very fantastic.
Okay, sounds good. So you can, thank you, Alexandra.
You're welcome.
Some more questions from the audience. Eugenie published the website, the Clay website, also in the chat, so you can have a look there and see what the other partners are doing, and get in touch with Alexandra, of course, in case of more specific questions. So now we move to Italy, to Florence with Elisa.
Hi.
Hello.
Hello. Thank you for your invitation. And I'm from Artex. I don't know if you know Artex.
We can see the slide. You can go on, Elisa.
Okay. So thank you so much, and thank you also because some of the topics you spoke about are really interesting for us. We represent here the Craft Code project, which is led by the municipality of Florence. And we would like to present you our experience, our best practice, which is the project Officina Creativa. Officina Creativa is a project managed by Artex, and of course is promoted by the municipality of Florence. And the project was created to relaunch a building, the Vecchio Conventino, which is a building which is owned by the municipality of Florence and which is historically devoted to craft. Is an ancient building, is based in Oltrarno, which is a neighbor in Florence, in which craft has still a very strong presence. And so we worked with the municipality of Florence to create a new project to relaunch the building, but also to create a multifunctional and multi-sector place in which craft, artistic and traditional craft, can be revived. So you can see here a picture of the building. The building is a big building, 3,500 square meters, open and closed. And we have 26 laboratories, as you can see. And nowadays we have 25 active laboratories, in different kind of craft, from fashion to restoration, from sculpture to microglass mosaic and so on. So 25 different kind of activities placed here in Conventino in Officina Creativa. Of course, Officina Creativa need also to be promoted, to be communicated, first of all to the city, because one of the goal, one of the aim of the municipality of Florence and also of Artex, also to make a citizen aware about craft and about craft activities, about craft products and so on. So we worked on it too. We also aimed to promote craft through courses, specialistic training, conferences, and so on. We have also 3 equipped rooms for conferences, for seminar. 1 pottery workshop, which is open both to craftsmen and a literary coffee. Sorry. Some activities, of course, all activity in presence are from 2019 because of the COVID pandemic. We stopped all activity in presence, not only because of the lockdown, but also because of the necessary attention to healthcare. So the last session of our activities in presence were in 2019. I saw that Costanza wrote in the chat some information about the GEMA, the Journée Européenne des Métiers d'Art, the artistic, the European Artistic Craft Days. And we always work with, in this framework, that is a communication project started by the French INMA, the Institute for the Métiers d'Art based in Paris, and we work in Florence to organize classroom and demonstration and visit to workshop in Florence and here in Officina Creativa. And in 2022, the next edition of ARCD will be held from the 28th of March till the 3rd of April, and we will organize here in Officina Creativa some laboratories for children, but also for adults, and also some seminar to present craftsmanship to the wide public. Some other activities that we held during 2021, and I hope we will do once again in 2022, is the project, the so-called craft and aperitif, artigianato aperitivo. This project is a project about trekking, urban trekking, in which we show through the through some professional touristic guides different corners of Florence, less well known than Uffizi or something like that, and then we walk to show and to present craft activities in collaboration, of course, with the craftsmen. And it's really interesting, and in Florence we have many attention about this kind of project, and we have for all our tour at least 20 people visiting craft shop. Of course, workshops are not so big, so we need to have a small number, small groups. But anyway, it's really interesting, and also it's important because citizens are invited to visit craft shop in the city. Of course, we also work in B2B appointment, trying to internationalize the craft production. Officina Creativa is also communication. We have we created a special website devoted to present the place, the craftsmen, and also all activities are held here in the building. Some other activity, Firenze Creativa, which is like a son of Officina Creativa, is a special project created with the municipality of Florence, once again, to promote the community of creators, not only craftsmen, but also artists in Florence. Just to show that Florence is not only history, is not only history of art, but it's also creation and strong new energy, and to promote, of course, our product. This is those are some pictures about events we organized here in the Conventino. This was a very big event that was held in 2018, Elementi Creativi, and 3 days of workshop on demonstration of courses for children, for adults, music, and so on. So a very important effort for us to show how creativity can be presented also in the field of craft. some exhibitions that are held directly by artists, but also by partner of Artex. Another special events that we hope we can have this year too, which is Manifatture Fiorentine Aperte, so it's open Florentine workshops. Some numbers about the event, about the activity in Officina Creativa through the years, because we started the project in 2017, we can say, because we established our seat here in the Conventino at the very end of 2016. So we started activities in 2017. And here some some idea about our network, because Officina Creativa need to share its activity with the network. First of all, of course, the municipality of Florence, but also other stakeholders, both from the craft point of view, but also from the research and innovation point of view. National stakeholders like the Italian Association of Craft Cities, the World Craft Council of Europe, and we hope to have many other stakeholders and partners in our networks. So thanks for your attention and thanks for your invitation.
Thank you, Elisa. So again, we can take questions. Mart, maybe you would like to start?
Maybe just I will start with a clarifying terminology question regarding these 25 laboratories that you have.
Yeah.
So by what do you mean exactly by a laboratory? Is this one creative business doing their thing, or is it a space that many creative entrepreneurs can use? Or?
Yeah, so we have 26 spaces.
Mm-hmm.
That can be rented to creators. At the moment, we have 25 spaces. There are active craftsman workshops.
So that they are rented for a short period of time or for longer?
At the moment, for a long period, because we irritated this situation from the previous manager, but we are we are working with the municipality of Florence to change the project and to say, at least for the smaller spaces, we need to make short time rents, because we need to help young people, because prices here are lower than in Florence and other places. So it's a beautiful place, because in Florence to hire a space is very, very expensive. So I mean, we need to help young people to approach and to grow up their own activity in craft sector and in creative sector.
Like a mini business park for craft people.
Yes, is this. Okay. And also train to, because Artex has other many activities, always in the field of craft, but not only Officina Creativa. And I mean, we can help young people to, or anyway, young activities, because you can be a young startup also if the owner or the craftsman is not so young, but anyway, to help young activities to grow up, to be present in national and international markets. For instance, now we are partner in a Creative Europe project, Crafting Europe, and we are organizing many webinars about the so-called section Crafting Business, just to give information and to help craftsmen to be aware about many topics. For instance, yesterday evening we spoke about web marketing and newsletters, and we spoke about DGPR, and some of the craftsmen say, what is this? I'm sending my email to everyone without any attention, and so on. So we tried also to help them to understand anyway that they need to pay attention to different topics, and then of course they can be helped by the Chamber of Commerce, by the association, and so on. But anyway, to help them to be more professional. Okay.
Okay.
I find that very, very interesting, the way that you also work or think along the lines of the young creative people, because I know that here in Estonia, we're currently conducting a study for the creative sector as well. And one of the challenges we see is that the challenge is not so much whether these fields are interesting for young people to study in schools. The enrollment numbers in universities are still relatively high, both for traditional creative sectors and for newer ones. But the problem often occurs right after graduation, where they lose this sort of supportive infrastructure from the university in terms of the computers and laboratories they can use and the network. And then they find very difficult to find something to do, have a livelihood on, because they have nowhere to go. So it seems interesting how you are thinking, at least in the lines of providing affordable small spaces and then these factory spaces to rent as well.
Yeah.
Maybe one question, I was just curious, and I think you hinted towards it as well. How much do you collaborate with other sectors? We also know about this potential of creative industries being implemented in more traditional or other sectors to innovate their products or branding and so on. How much do you facilitate this bringing together other companies to your center, basically?
We just answer to question or to necessities. We are not working on other sector, just on a very similar section. We can help them to be more. We can help company to be more aware. We are creating link with for instance, with research center and so on. But other productive sector is a little bit difficult for us, because we are working with many sectors, because craft is composed by many sectors. So we can help, I don't know, a ceramic craftsman to find a glass craftsman, but it's I don't know if they ask us some information about metallurgy or mechanic or so on. We are not keen. We are not informed about that. We can tell them where they can find such information, but we are not professional in other sector, just in craft and everything related to craft.
Elisa, we have a question from Mariella. Maybe there were some things on your slide. Maybe you can specify which kind of support you provide to the creators. Besides the renting, what is the?
Okay, it depends on the project we are keeping on. For instance, for 3 years, we organized free courses about digitalization, about marketing, about I don't know, publicity, advertising, and so on, to communicate their activity. When we organize an event here, of course, they are the first that are visited by people. They can sell their product. Often we organize, I don't know, for instance, next week we will have here an influencer that will visit the place and visit the workshop. Of course, we are working with the public entity, the municipality of Florence, and we are really persuaded that public funded projects need to help to give possibilities, not much more. I mean, you need to invest yourself and your time and your energy on your company. We can give you all the opportunities, all the tools we can, but then you have to move yourself. It's my idea.
Thank you, Elisa.
Welcome.
Thank you. I don't see any more questions. Janette, before we move to you, when preparing this workshop, we reached out to the participants to see if someone wants to report about specific practices, and we have Berghin from Romania would like to say a few words about a practice from the Extra SME project.
Hello. Thank you for this opportunity. I will be very, very brief. Let me share my screen, just a second. Okay.
We can see the presentation. You need to go in presentation mode.
Okay. I work as a project development expert within the Bucharest Ilfov Regional Development Agency. Our organization is part of the Extra SMEs project, a project that aims to foster the competitiveness, extraversion, and internationalization of rural and coastal SMEs participating in aquaculture value chains. Within this project, we identified a good practice referring to the Center for Aquaculture Consultancy Services from NUCED. This center was established in 2018 and received funding from the European Maritime and Fisheries Fund.
Berghin, maybe you can move to the next slide. It doesn't move on the screen. Or...
Okay, it's okay. For me, it's in a presentation mode.
No, we see only your title slide.
We don't see it moved. We don't see your slides moving.
For me, it's moving.
Do you have two screens?
Please go in presentation mode first and then share it. Try this way, Berghin.
Yes, so I think also I would advise sharing the whole screen and not only the PowerPoint tab. And then I think we'll be able to see the full presentation.
Berghin? Are you still with us?
She's joining the meeting again. I think she left the room.
Yeah.
She's coming back now.
Berghin, you are back. You need to unmute yourself. Yes, you're back.
Sorry for the inconvenience. I will just present it without sharing the screen. I don't know what happened, but I was telling you about the NUCED Center for Aquaculture Consultancy Services. This center offers support for aquaculture farms to achieve high environmental health, animal welfare, and food safety standards. It provides advisory services for the aquaculture farms and SMEs in this field and for the potential beneficiaries of aquaculture funding through the European Maritime Fisheries and Aquaculture, thank you a lot, Eugenie, Fund. It works towards the implementation of new technology systems and methods in order to ensure the increase of the competitiveness of the sector. And it works towards the strengthening of the technological development, innovations, and the knowledge transfer to fish farmers. Very quickly, it offers services in several areas in order to help aquaculture SMEs and aquaculture farms. In the area of environmental protection and environmental impact assessments, it carries out all the necessary analysis for this kind of impact assessments. It advises the SMEs on the paperwork required in order to obtain these authorizations and assists them in getting all the permits and creating the necessary documentation. Also, it gives them support in the area of well-being and health of aquatic animals. In the public health and safety standards area, it develops several technological studies and market studies. It gives them advisory services in order to comply with the national and European legislation in the field of public health and safety standards. One of the most important services it refers to the technical assistance given in accessing the European funded projects. It assists the farmers in the development of feasibility studies, business plans. It gives them consultancy and support services during and after the implementation phase of the project. Maybe if you could go to the final slide. Thank you. And it offers them technical assistance for setting up an aquaculture farm. It gives them also consultancy and support services, as I said, during and after the implementation phase of the project. On this slide, you can see the support service contracts concluded with SMEs in the field and with the economic agents. This was my very short presentation. Look, thank you a lot for the opportunity.
Thank you, Berghin. Yes, we wanted to involve originally the owner of the good practice, and it was not possible on short notice. And Berghin jumped in, which is very good, very nice to promote. Also,
sorry again for the inconvenience. With
no problem, Berghin. That's normal. It doesn't work always like this, but we wanted also to have this project and the blue economy part and the aquaculture, which is one of the projects here in this area. So thank you for this, Berghin.
Thank you also.
We didn't have received any further volunteering for presenting on specific practices. So I think we can close here this session on this first session on the practices for more traditional sectors. Then we will move to the ones which are more high-tech oriented. And at the end, after the presentation, the second session, we will have a discussion with our co-moderator or discussant, with David Hope, on more overarching aspects of innovation, support innovation capacities and support organizations. But now we will listen to Janette, and from Romania we move back upwards on the map to Scotland. Janette, you can share your screen and start your presentation if you'd like to.
Yeah, thank you, Luke. Let me just put it onto presentation mode. Hopefully this works.
It works fine. It
works. Excellent. Yep. Okay. Well, firstly, thank you for inviting me to present today. I've listened to all the presentations and it's fascinating, and it certainly seems like there's lots of synergy across Europe, certainly on what we're doing in Scotland. My name's Janette Hughes. I'm Director of Planning and Performance for the Digital Health and Care Innovation Centre. And I'll just tell you a wee bit about what we do before going into the detail of how we actually help industry and SMEs. We're a national innovation centre, and for all those that haven't visited Scotland, we are a population of 5 million population people, and we cover very much urban and rural. Our main vision and our main ambition is to help services use digital for health and care. And the second is to help economies grow. And that obviously brings in the conversation that we're having today about how you help industry and build capacity within SMEs. We do this in a range of ways, and I'll talk about that today. And that is echoed in the best practice paper that we submitted. So just a wee bit about what we do and who we help. We help the public sector, so we help health boards and municipalities, local authorities, and also charities use digital health innovation. We help the academic community evaluate innovation within that sector. We help industry and SMEs get access to the sector to test their innovations, and we support them through that process. And we also help citizens understand what the benefits are, and they're very much part of our co-design process. We've been around for about 8 years as an innovation centre, and we have over 130 projects. We have digitalised 50 products, and those services are live in Scotland, and some have been exported. And throughout all the work that we do, we do this through co-design. So we have design researchers and market researchers behind helping industry, the public sector, really develop those tools. One thing that I would say, and I think it echoes the presentation from Living Labs, or certainly echoes some of the comments that have been made, although we are a digital health innovation centre, that does not mean that we focus just on technology. Actually, what you find with this market sector is that the technology is pretty much ready. And what you'll see in this slide is readiness levels. So technology readiness levels, which are very well documented as a framework that came from NASA, you know, working from scientific research up to something that actually is proven and can be deployed. But what we focus a lot of our attention on and how we help businesses is actually on the service readiness. And what I mean by that is our health and care boards and services ready to take digital. And that's where we really do try and help and support SMEs get access so that they can understand what the demands are. One thing that we realised in the first 5 years of being an innovation centre was that we were very supply driven. And what that meant was that industry would come to us with gadgets and technology, and we would try and find a home for that technology. That doesn't work with health and care, it's too complex. So what we did is we turned it round and we are now demand led. And again, I know Living Labs talked a wee bit about understanding that demand, and that's what we do. The third strand is really, is the business ready to commercialise? Because obviously all industry is focused on is bringing an idea to fruition and actually commercialising that in the real world. So we help with lots of different things, but service readiness and business readiness is two key components. Our innovation process to actually deliver that has got a number of different stages. It explores and engages what the problem is. It then moves to initiate and develop as a prototype what it could look like. And then it actually tries to move it to embedding and scaling. And through this process, we obviously share best practice and all the learning that comes with that. One thing that I would say is, and I think this was a question that was asked by Luke, was what are industry telling you from an innovation perspective? And what industry are now saying, and it is changing and it has changed through the last 10 years, is they want to scale and they want to commercialize faster. And I think that's two takeaway messages for how we can help. And we've certainly changed our services within our innovation centre to be much more focused on the aspects of supporting SMEs. We have a range of different tools that helps the industry partners and all our other stakeholders realise what innovation can do for them in the health and care sector using digital. And one key aspect and asset that we have is called the DHI Exchange. The exchange has two elements to it. It has a place where people can come together. Obviously, that was much more apparent before COVID, because obviously there's a constraint just now. But really what we did in that physical space was we demonstrated the art of the possible. And really, as I said at the beginning, digital is here. It's been here for about 20, 30 years. So a lot of the time, it's not the digital innovation that you have to focus on. It's actually changing hearts and minds to realise that their services can use digital in a different way. So that art of the possible was really key for us. The second key point was, how do you actually accelerate and get those commissioners to trust industry that actually what they're selling will work in practice? And from that, what we developed was a simulation environment. Now, what that's made up of is an architecture, a cloud-based architecture, and it mirrors what is actually within our landscape in Scotland. So it mirrors the health boards infrastructure. It also mirrors the consumer market infrastructure. And what industry can do with that is they can come in, plug in their systems and prove to government and to health and to commissioners that actually will interoperate with their system. And we do that quite early on in the process to de-risk investment. The third element, I suppose, is really testing it in real world environments. And many people today have spoken about the living labs, and that is a key element, again, to prove that the digital health and care innovation can work in practice. So we do this using co-design, and obviously the Living Lab lady spoke all about that very eloquently before, but it's really to generate real world evidence so that we can build a case for scale. And scale for us in Scotland is actually a national scaled proposition that can transfer over the whole of our population if it's appropriate. The third element that we've innovated within our Innovation Centre to again help SMEs is actually around procurement and developmental procurement. And what I mean by that is that a lot of R&D funds and living labs or test pilots end quite abruptly and will not have that route to commercialization. And we're trying to kind of recast that to make sure that when R&D ends, and if the evidence is proved to be successful and positive, that the commissioners can actually commission that into real live business as usual services. And that is an area for growth, because a lot of the time SMEs get stuck in this pilot stage and they can't fully commercialize. So that's one of the kind of key lessons learned with regards to how we work with SMEs. We have the usual clusters, and we have matchmaking, and we will build consortiums for funding. However, what I've tried to demonstrate in this presentation is some of the barriers and what Scotland's doing to reduce and de-risk innovation for digital health and care and working with industry partners. I'd like to end with this slide, just because Living Labs has been such a key topic throughout these presentations. And for us, the Living Lab is real life environments. You know, it's the villages, it's the towns, it's the cities of Scotland, and it's trying to make sure that evidence is real world evidence and demonstrated so that we can progress digital health and care. That's the end of my presentation. I hope I'm on time, or, yep.
Perfectly, no problem.
Thank you.
Let's see if we have questions. Otherwise, I would invite Mart maybe to just looking.
No questions in the chat, but still everybody's welcome to write there and raise the hand and ask verbally. I was just curious about, because you also mentioned that of course you work a lot in this sort of triple helix, or at least the collaboration between the research and the business side. And then we know that this is often very challenging to get these two sides to speak the same language. Mm-hmm. What has worked for you in this health sector?
Yeah, so with regards to the academics and research and development, I think one of the biggest tensions with SMEs and research isn't the language and the translation, it's more the timescales. So research takes a long time, sometimes, often, and industry are looking for quick returns. You know, so digital health and care is pretty challenging because it does take a long time to get to scale, and they're looking for acceleration. So that's the same with research. So traditional evaluation methods in research, like randomized control trials, can take a long time, are very costly. So we have to innovate those as well. And I think there's many different papers that talk about that. So I would say that the main tension between research and industry is really the timeline that they want to work to.
Has digitalization somehow made it easier, or at least?
You would think that the uptake of digital would make it easier. However, because you're dealing with health and care as a sector, it's very risk averse. So you've got to be careful because maybe unlike other innovation sectors, you could harm a population, you could harm patients, and that means it does take longer. So yeah, technology is definitely helping, but we do need to accelerate it and find new ways. And that's where like innovation partnership procurement comes in, so that if things are proven and the evaluation is positive, then you move quickly to commercialization, which will help economies grow.
Okay, Janette, from other initiatives in Europe, I've seen the health sector, the people like to work also on those challenge-based approaches. Let's say, are you using that kind of approaches too?
Yeah, so sorry if that wasn't clear. At the beginning of my presentation, what I was saying was the first 5 years of our innovation centre was supply driven, which means coming with technology and trying to find a home for it.
Yeah, you mentioned that.
We then moved to demand led. So we're actually funded by Scottish Government and Scottish Funding Council. Okay. They give us the challenges. So they say there's high waiting lists, or they say there's a problem with diabetes. And we then put the challenge to our members and partners within our innovation centre. So it is demand challenge driven. And it's got to be because if the ambition is to scale, the business case has got to add up, that the return will be good enough for that to be commercialized. So it all kind of works hand in hand.
Yeah, okay, clear. Yeah, you mentioned this demand-led approach. I was wondering if it's going this way exactly. So you have the public authority also bringing in the challenges.
Absolutely.
Into that. Okay, yeah, okay, very fine. Okay, thank you for that. I can't see any question more, Mart. No, I think it was quite clear. Otherwise, Janette, you went. I've seen in the first slides you answered the question I had prepared about the challenge, which is very nice. So very targeted presentation. So I would say thank you. I know you have to. We have one remark. Question from Andre. How do you think one should raise awareness of hospitals to use digital health innovations? Maybe?
Yeah. I think that's an interesting question. I think I've done a bit of work in Europe. In Scotland, hospitals are governed really by government. Okay, so policy changes can make a big driver to change and to encourage hospitals to use digital. I think in Europe, because sometimes the different funding mechanisms, it's maybe less evident, but I think policy changes is one key aspect, and trying to evidence the return on investment with regards to the demand that they're facing. So if I give one example, maybe heart failure patients that have got to stay in hospital, which means that there's not the availability of beds because there's a long stay. So we're doing a project, an Interreg chance project with the Netherlands and Belgium, and that's working with hospitals on heart failure and hospitalization at home. And what you have to prove there is it is more cost effective, it's more convenient, there's going to be a better quality of life, and really then start to show hospitals the benefits of using digital.
Okay, thank you for that. But do we have another question? Yeah, Andre approves. Good. So we could take one or two questions if they come, although I know Janette has to leave. She has a meeting after, so she cannot stay until the end.
Yeah, I can stay for another 20 minutes. Okay. So I will stay and then I will disappear, but thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, Janette. Thank you for that. So if you have questions to Janette, still in the chat for another few minutes and or after directly bilaterally after the workshop. Well, then we move back to Germany. I've seen Jörg was active in the chat after the first presentation from Maria, also mentioning some initiative in Detmold. So we have from Jörg and Thorsten from, well, I will let them introduce the region.
Thank you very much, Luc, for that. It is the sun over there, which came over for the last minute here, so I'm a bit blind, but I will try to manage that. So I'm Thorsten Brinkmann, and I'm today with Jörg Rodehutskors. You see him also on the screen. Before Jörg will go a bit deeper into the Innovation Campus Association, it's my job to give you a certain idea of the Innovation Campus Lemgo as an innovation hub in high-tech industries. And I work for the Economic Development Agency here in Detmold, which is the neighbor city to Lemgo. And we thought that it might be very important to give you a certain idea of the special surrounding that we have here on the Innovation Campus. And also something we'd like to call the ecosystem of mindset, something we heard this afternoon before. So welcome to Lippe. Lippe, and of course, as an economic development developer, it's my job to do some tourism promotion. But it's a rural, beautiful countryside. It's a county of Lippe with only 350,000 inhabitants. It's a long tradition, pride of the people here. They are proud of their independence. And of course, we have this Hermann Monument, the highest national monument in Germany. And yeah, but you see that there's certain maybe disadvantage here when you look at the map. Detmold is quite in the middle of, I won't say nowhere, but it's quite at the side of Northern Westphalia. Northern Westphalia is the biggest federal state in Germany, 18 million inhabitants, with the capitals, the Ruhr area, or the region of Düsseldorf or Cologne over here. And this is maybe a disadvantage of our region. It's so far away when it comes to innovation in former times and where innovation usually happens. And when you think of maybe then the next slide, Jörg, you will skip it over. Yeah, that's great, thank you. This is something that you should remember. If no one helps you, you have to help yourself. That means that's what SMEs, the Mittelstands companies here in our region, have done in the last years. They skip to networking, to working together, to cooperation, and to make the best of the specificities they have. And this is small and medium-sized companies and family ownership with a long tradition. And this makes our region to one of the nationwide most innovative and most dynamic regions. And Lippe, especially East Westphalia, Lippe, the bigger region around us here, is known as the hotspot for electronic connectivity, as better known as Industry 4.0. And this is just a small introduction to what Jörg will continue, and he will give. This is a very good keyword for Jörg to hand over to the Innovation Campus in Lemgo.
Okay, thank you very much, Thorsten, and also thanks to you and the organizers for giving us a couple of minutes to introduce you to the Innovation Campus Lemgo. My name is Jörg. I'm the managing director of the Innovation Campus Lemgo Association. So it's something like the campus development company. So it just what you actually see on the first slide, it already shows the special nature of the ICL. I shortened the Innovation Campus Lemgo to ICL just to let you know. And because when people usually talk about a campus, they talk about a pure university campus, and but that's totally different to our campus. As you can see by the numbers of logos, in Lemgo, many different players make up the campus together. There are public institutions, there are educational institutions, there are companies, there is the city of Lemgo, and there is, of course, the district of Lippe. So as you can see, there are different players who make up the campus together. And Just due to the time, I will not go into all the details in the slides, but Luke already said that that he wants to pass out the slides afterwards. Is that right, Luke? Yep.
That's correct. And we have a little bit of time. You do not have to refrain yourself too much.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, well, the main result of public participation process to develop the quarter in 2017 is that the campus should be developed in that kind of way that always people and innovation are in focus. And every initiative we start has to answer the question, how do we get young people in the OWL region? Because in the end, well-trained people as satisfied employees lead to successful sustainability for the whole region. So, and for this, we defined that the whole development is not just for the city of Lemgo, it's for the whole region. Like Thorsten already mentioned, it's really important that in rural regions we need to work together to achieve an attraction, just like the large cities, especially in the visibility just for young people. And that's why we develop a special technology and education campus in Lemgo with customized partnerships through special and content networking along the triad of education, research, and economy. And every development, we always consider these three stakeholders in an equal way. That's very important. Okay, and to achieve these goals, we defined key factors. In fact, there are 6 key factors at the moment for a successful development. And the first one is the society, municipal administration, and politics. What actually means that you definitely need the support of the whole city, and it's not just the companies, the support you need, it's the whole city, because the project to develop just such a quarter, you need the support or the acceptance from the citizens, and furthermore, the municipal administration and politicians must support such a project by creating the necessary legal framework as well. And the second one would be the content-related goals that aim at its profiling. And I will go into that a little bit later, just like the educational services and the research expertise as well. The fifth point would be the network companies and founders. And innovations should always be used or should be based on real needs, and wherever. It doesn't matter if it's the economy or in the education, wherever, but they all should be based on real needs. And so let's say a developer user network on campus is very important because both sides just benefit from each other. And last but not least, finally, the inspiring infrastructure and transfer platform is very important, because all these things need to be located accordingly, in fact, in a way that encourages creativity and innovation. And so it brings people together, and especially from different disciplines. And that's it doesn't matter if it's the educational level doesn't really matter. That's really important. Okay, I just talked about the profiles, and as you can see here, we have at the moment 5 clusters, which is the smart automation, smart food, smart health, smart energy, smart wood, and what doesn't actually mean that there can't be more added in the future. So, but this is just the state of the art. And of course, we have some cross-sectional topics like sustainability and digitalization, which are actually considered in any initiative which we do on campus. I already mentioned the importance or the important presence of the different educational institutions on campus. And here on the right, you can see the different types of schools we have involved. There are vocational and academic institutions. The most important thing is that they are all on one campus. It's just 2 or 3 minutes from each other to get to the other institution. And so we have several vocational colleges and a University of Applied Sciences, which is the THOWL. And furthermore, we have a kindergarten, we have an inclusive school, but etc. There are more things, and I don't need to go into that anymore. But for you, important is the participation and the benefits for SME. And these are, for example, that they can offer their employees an individual career with further education through permeability and apprenticeship and lifelong learning. They have educational options of specialists for all challenges, and increasing proximity and visibility to graduates, which is nowadays, in times of shortage of skilled workers, very important to grab the graduates straight away after finishing. So that's very important for the companies to increase their visibility to graduates. And if knowledge then has been built up, it can be transferred into innovative applications in cooperation with the research and development institutes on campus. And for this purpose, we have, I say, topic-specific facilities which can test or validate or implement these ideas. And especially in this field of research and development, there are many ways to participate for the SMEs, for the companies. And for this, we actually define a so-called transfer chain. And as you can see, we start with the information, which actually means something like the first level support. Then we go further to the demonstration to show applied solutions, like we can do a lab tour or mobile demos or something like that. Then qualification is the next very important step to teach the actual users in the companies. Then the conception step. So what we actually do here is we focus on potential analysis for individual requirements for the specific company. And then we go into the doing. We want to implement the things we just concepted. And so we can do pilot testing or specific transfer projects in this step of implementation. And yeah, the last step is actually that what we do today. So we talk to each other, we network, and people want to exchange their ideas. They want to exchange their questions and of course solutions as well. So yeah, just we organize and we offer the platform for networking. In the meantime, more than 10 companies from SME to global players for world market leaders have settled on campus so far in this so-called CIIT, the Center for Industrial IT. And more than 400 employees work and research here. And the best thing is that all of them work under one roof. So that means that we have short ways for innovation and short ways for contact possibilities. And this is, I think, one of the main parts or main benefits companies exactly benefit from. And there will be coming up another Science to Business Center in the next year or the year after. So we want to settle more companies on campus. Luckily, we have the questions that they want to come to the campus, and so we just need to build up the next Science to Business Center. And if you know companies or you by yourself are interested, just give me a call or just write me an email. Okay, yeah, at this stage, I just want to come back to one of the first slides I already mentioned there, that we want to get 50 additional companies on campus. This is one of the aims I just mentioned in the first slide. And these companies, they could be established SMEs from the region or wherever, but it also can be startups we actually we wish that the main part of these 50 companies come from our own founders from campus. And in the best case, with close cooperation with the other SMEs. So the companies can be the development partner on the one side, but they also can be the customer on the other side for the startups already. So they learn from each other, and especially the SMEs can learn in digital business solutions. That's what we just learned. And so, so we offer many support to the founders from our awareness in the first step to the realization in the final step. What you can see here is a listing of our ICL hubs. We call them hubs. We have organized some working groups for specific topics to jointly develop projects to implement on the ICL. So we are in the regular exchange on acute and strategic topics. And of course, the companies also joined these groups to integrate all stakeholders in the whole campus development. It's just important to have a regular exchange with all these people all over the year. Well, now in the last 2 or 3 slides, I just want to show you some examples of our transfer platforms on campus. And what you can see here is the so-called Smart Factory OWL. It is the research factory for intelligent automation, one of the first living labs in the field of Industry 4.0. And in cooperation with more than 20 companies, this is one of the shared shop floors I already mentioned for testing, for demonstrating, for information and demonstration. And it's about 2,000 square meters production area. And I think, I don't need to tell you that the demonstrating is one of the most important ways to show the SME how digital transformation can actually work or can actually be realized. So you need to grab something to realize or to understand what digital transformation actually means. No, it's not working. Oh, no. Okay, now it's working again. Almost the same thought we brought, also the same thought brought us to the point that we want to build up another comparable factory to the food sector, because it's very important, because the food sector is very big here in this region, and we also have a good research and education expertise here on campus. So in next autumn, in 2022, we will open the next smart factory, which is called Smart Food Factory. It's more or less the same than the smart factory, but it is, it's considered the specific circumstances within the very complex and hygienic food processing processes. So it is just for the food sector an own smart factory. And I already mentioned the Centrum Industrial IT, the Center Industrial IT. And for more than 10 years, we have this CIT on campus where more than 10 companies actually and several research institutes are located. So the CIT association is one of the first networking organization facilities to bring these different players together. So it is actually a network for topics on the one side, so you can talk to each other about standards, competitive topics or something like that. Then it's always, of course, a network for projects where we can do projects like AI topics, issues, or is it a digital twin or business models or whatever. And it's, of course, a network for people, so especially for exchange and joint development. Yeah. Okay, last slide already, and I just want to pick the second topic here. It's the so-called ICL digital project, and I just want to give you a short overview about this, because within this project we want to develop a digital platform to support the various transfer topics. In fact, not just the transfer topics, we want to develop an urban data platform, including various microservices to offer all the analog participation possibilities also in the digital world. Besides the transfer issue, it's the last 2 years have shown us, so the pandemic has shown us that we definitely need digital education offers to still teach the young people and the employees, even when they cannot be on site, live on site. Yeah, just to pick one of these projects, and that's actually it. I'm really thankful that we had the opportunity to introduce you to the Innovation Campus Lemgo, which is more or less the whole quarter is more or less a living lab. Yeah, just if you do have any questions, just go ahead and ask Thorsten and me. Thank you very much for your attention, and yeah, we are looking forward to be in networking in the next couple of years.
Thank you, Jörg. Thank you, Thorsten. I have 1 or 2 first questions about. I'm living here and I'm working also with some other places which have this issue of having young people going away from the region, well-educated young people. How do you manage? What attracts them to Detmold? I mean, not meaning that Detmold is not attractive, but I used to have young colleagues who told me about Karlsruhe. Karlsruhe is not Munich, is not Hamburg. So what attracts them, and then the second question I ask it immediately: how about startup? You mentioned startup. Do you also manage to be some kind of a startup hub, or how does that work? So those were my two initial questions, because I think it's not obvious. Yeah.
Thorsten, do you want to start something, or should I?
Yeah, maybe just a short answer on that. I think we cannot compete to the lifestyle of bright lights, big city in Berlin or Hamburg or whatever, of course. But I think which is some of our advantages is that the workplace, the working in a very dynamic atmosphere is very, very interesting, or should be very interesting for young employees. And believe it or not, it is a certain culture of this network where different not only companies but also from research institutions, the University of Applied Sciences, etc., are working so close together that makes something like a real campus. And this is something that also can bring a certain spirit to young people. I hope that is right, Jörg. You would agree on that.
I actually do agree, and maybe there's one point to add, that what you can do for the young people as well is not just all the educational and research stuffs what we just were talking about. And the region is what we also can offer is a payable or affordable family planning and stuff like that. Yeah, that's very important for young people, actually, that they can plan a long life in this region, and it's still affordable just to compare to the big cities.
Okay.
So, but Luke, you already asked about the startup hub. Yes, we do have a startup hub, but it's definitely needs to more. It's more, but we definitely need to develop it more, and we are not just thinking about the ICL, so the Lemgo part. It's more a part together in the whole region of OWL. So we have other cities like Bielefeld or Gütersloh or Paderborn, and all these cities together, we think this startup hub together. That's really important for the whole OWL region. But of course, Lippe and Lemgo has the special offers for founders to give them everything to build up their startup. But in fact, we definitely need the whole region to give them all this support they actually need. what we on campus, what we can give is the testing, the demonstrating, the validation and all this stuff. But what we do not have is something like how is it called? I think it's called incubator or something like that, or accelerator or something like those.
Do you have the investors also locally?
Sorry, I didn't get you.
Do you have investors locally for the startups then also, or is it not a big issue?
Yes, we do actually have investors. Okay. Yeah, it's definitely not like Berlin, but we do have them, and there is a big difference between the big cities and us. We are a technology region, so our investors are interested in technology investments, and it's not like we are not the region where all the creative app developers are. We are the hardware developers. Yeah, that's the main point we are. And this is the kind of investment we have here in our region. But Thorsten, you want to add something? Like?
I would like to add, just to remind you of the network region that I mentioned in the beginning. I think this is very important to have in mind that there is no bigger envy on what is happening in Lemgo. Which is an unbelievable process like Jörg mentioned. It was in the last 10 years, which it goes pack. They were even more. It's going bigger and bigger. But there was no envy looking from Detmold, which is the biggest city right next to Lemgo, and this is the idea of really working open-minded together to have in mind that we are a bit far away from the big cities, so we have to cooperate, and we try to focus on networking. And I think this is important, not only in Lippe as a small country, but also in the region around that. This is East Westphalia, Lippe, with the bigger cities like Bielefeld, etc. And when you look at this scope, you have really big companies and very, very prosperous region.
Okay, thank you. Do you have other quick questions to Thorsten, Jörg? And one of your colleagues probably posted a lot in the chat, also information, so you can follow on that. And it's a good practice. It's on the good practice platform. So if there are no other questions, I'm just checking because we had a short intervention from Joking plant, but I could not see him today in the list. So maybe David, I would give the word to you. We asked David to reflect a bit about what we were hearing today and about innovation capacities and different support approaches in those hubs. And David, maybe you can report also from your context. You are quite familiar with the topic now.
Sure, Luke, thank you. And good afternoon, everybody. I think before I start reflecting on the specifics that I've heard this afternoon, probably worth just a very brief introduction as to my interest in this project, and really a little bit about why Coventry City Council became involved in Interreg projects. So my own personal interest in this, I was project manager of the Coventry and Warwickshire Innovation Programme. So this was a programme funded by ERDF. It first started in 2016, and one of the motivations for Coventry as a local authority getting involved in innovation was we saw that it was a key opportunity facing the local economy. Coventry and Warwickshire is it's a very innovative economy, not least through the automotive sector, but also other sectors, notably gaming, notably health technologies. And it was traditionally an area where the local universities, Coventry University and Warwick University, were very active. But we as a local authority decided that we also needed to be active in this. So we set up Coventry and Warwickshire Innovation Programme in 2016 using, it was around 1.8 million of ERDF funding, 1.8 million pounds, so around 2 million euros of ERDF funding between 2016 and 2018. And due to its success, the programme's been extended. So a little bit of context about what it does before I talk about specifics from this afternoon. So what we did in setting up the programme, we worked closely with Warwickshire County Council, who are the neighbouring local authority in Coventry and Warwickshire, and also Coventry University Enterprises, and it delivers essentially it's an integrated package of specialist one-to-one support to address barriers to innovation, workshops relating to specific innovation themes, usability studies hosted by Coventry University, where businesses are able to test new products on potential customers, capital and revenue grants to further enable SMEs to develop and test new products and technology, and further wraparound support to signpost SMEs to other innovation support. And although the programme's very much sector agnostic, it does have a strong focus on some of the high-tech sectors. So for example, we've had a lot of beneficiaries from the automotive smart mobility sector, health technology companies, ICT, professional services, to name some. And alongside that, we as a local authority, also building on that relationship with Coventry University Enterprises, we also made a decision to get more involved in Interreg projects, not least to further then build on Coventry and Warwickshire Innovation Programme and enhance really how we could go about supporting local businesses, particularly improve our support offers, not least in spheres such as particularly innovation. So hence why we're a partner in the Future Econ project, international trade, we're a partner in the Intra project, and a key sector locally is transport technology. So again, partner in the Recreate project. So we've got involved in Interreg to do that. So I think moving on to some points that were raised that I think have come out quite strongly this afternoon, and a lot of what Janette said up in Scotland. Actually, my experience of the West Midlands, is very similar. That Janette talked about the health sector, but I think this has been a case across all sectors of mixing that support for business, technological and service innovation, not looking at those things in isolation, but doing those things together. I think the second powerful message that has come out of all the presentations, and it's certainly the case for Coventry and Warwickshire Innovation Programme as well, is the need to engage all the relevant economic development partners together in designing and delivering innovation support programs to SMEs. So that includes the local authorities working together with academia, with the SME base, with business representative bodies such as chambers of commerce and other public sector organisations. So although Coventry City Council is, if you like, the lead coordinator and facilitator in Coventry and Warwickshire Innovation Programme, it would not be possible to run that programme if we did not have close links with the universities and with business representative bodies being able to refer businesses. Janette made the point quite strongly about projects being focused on demand-led innovation, not supply-side innovation. I think that's definitely a lesson. That's definitely a lesson in delivering innovation support. One early lesson I took, for example, when I managed Coventry and Warwickshire Innovation Programme, was a lot of the activities were set up based on previous experience of delivering other business support programs. When talking to businesses and business representative bodies, we rapidly became aware that actually what a number of businesses needed to tackle barriers to innovation was more access to specialist expertise, specialist knowledge. So we worked with the government agent to switch the focus of the financial support to revenue grants, and that has better enabled more businesses to access support. I think the other area around demand-led innovation, and this is and this is the other point that I picked up strongly, not just from the two presentations we've just heard, but also the earlier presentations on more traditional sectors, was also the importance of supporting businesses to test new products on potential customers, and then supporting those businesses to launch those products. Janette rightly, for example, emphasised many SMEs have a desire to commercialise more rapidly, and that is absolutely right. And having that support available to get businesses to test products on customers, support businesses with accessing intellectual property rights, definitely a key thing. I think a point I wanted to touch on as well, that I thought was very important, that Alexandra from France raised, was I think also the point about innovative mindset and changing the mindset of existing firms. And I think that is something that we've very much tried to do in Coventry and Warwickshire. And I think a big element of this is actually getting the message out there to the wider business base that actually, yeah, innovation means you. It isn't just a small number of companies that innovate. Actually, the majority of businesses in your SME base, they need to innovate. They need to introduce new products, new processes, either to grow, but more fundamentally to be competitive and more resilient longer term. And what we've tried to do through Coventry and Warwickshire Innovation Programme is get messaging out there through Coventry and Warwickshire Growth Hub and Coventry and Warwickshire Chamber. Try and get messaging out there to businesses that may not otherwise think of innovation, that actually innovation is for you and we need to think about this. Another example I would draw, because the point around networks has also been raised in today's session. And I think I would concur that having networks alongside the support is a further important means of generating innovation. One thing we introduced in Coventry and Warwickshire, not through innovation programme, but through a Coventry and Warwickshire Green Business Programme, which is funded through ERDF Priority 4. We set up Coventry and Warwickshire Green Business Network, which enables businesses to share good practice in low carbon innovation and raise awareness of green business opportunities, or even green processes around take-up of renewable energy. And I think having that access to networks is important. I mean, there were two other interesting angles that I would pick out from the presentations as well. I have to be honest that in England, that I think there is more work to do and more improvement to be made, and which is why I think sitting in these kind of seminars is very helpful, because the first area where I think that improvements could be made, and where we're looking to improve in Coventry and Warwickshire, is better integrating innovation business support with with spending on big innovation infrastructure projects. I'll give you two examples to explain myself better. So in Coventry in 2017, we secured funding working with Warwick University to develop UK battery industrialisation centre, 136 million pounds, so around 150 million euros of government funding to build a flagship facility to develop battery technologies in England. Similarly, led by Coventry University, the UK government spent £7 million, so around 8 million euros, on developing National Transport Design Centre, again aimed at smart mobility. Now, where there's improvements that need to be made in England, that I think I've heard from the other regions, is being able to better link activities on capital build projects with actual delivery of support to businesses, so that then businesses develop the local supply chain can benefit from the new innovation facilities and the new buildings that are available. And The second learning point for me as well is, and I think this came across very strongly in the example from Germany, was better integrating as well support for SMEs and incubation facilities and innovation equipment, integrating that also with skills support provision. That is something that we're very much looking at improving in England in the future, very much pitching skills support as part of the business support offer. And just finally, I mean, Living Labs has been, a very, it's been a very common theme. And in Coventry, we have Fab Lab, which is Coventry University led initiative, and that is very much about building on Coventry's legacy of manufacturing innovation and delivering a set of initiatives in tandem with that enable the local population to benefit better from the new opportunities that are created through that sector growth and that sector innovation, not least through access to employment support that's targeted at the most disadvantaged groups in the community. So I think a lot of fascinating lessons that have come up today, and I'm always keen to learn from other regions, and I will across Europe, and I will continue to do so, and I'm sure I'll be following up with some of the other participants in this workshop, because there will be further useful learning points that emerge after this afternoon moving forward. So no, thank you, Luke, for inviting me.
Thank you, David. I think that this was actually quite concluding words for the session today. It's already been quite long, so I see that we'll not move further in discussions. We had some exchanges with the people, but I like the concluding words that you mentioned, David. Very, very helpful for us also to pick the main messages from what we heard about today, about the different ways to support the innovation capacities of SMEs. And we had this entry point about those hubs and different approaches. And it seems at the end, like we have in some areas convergence of technologies, we also have in those hubs like the convergence of support mechanisms, the skills, the technology, the business skills come together, and so I think this was one of your concluding message to invest in better integrating the support, not having only the silos. Let's say it's a good approach. We'll probably have further events on this topic of innovation capacities, which will remain, of course, a key topic for the SMEs in the new funding period. So thank you for those messages, David. Very, very nice. I will conclude in a few minutes by just show a very few slides, concluding with some information about the Interreg Europe Policy Learning Platform, which is the framework and the host for this event. Interreg Europe, many of you are partners in projects, so it was 30 countries involved, 360 million projects dispatched along those 4 categories, which many of you get used to over the years. The next program will be a bit different. There will be only one cross-cutting priority on capacity building. However, with a strong concentration on smart and green. We discussed about the digital transformation, the green transition. So those topics will be a high majority of the budget in the next program. There is one country who lives the program in the new funding period, but it remains well budgeted. But the information I wanted to give you, probably you're aware of that. Maybe the slide is not full up to date, but the new call will be launched on 5th of April and until 31st of May. And you have the link on the website. You can also already start to look at the website and the information about the call. The policy learning platform main services remain available, even know that during this phase and some projects of the previous period have ended, but you can still have the good access to the good practice database, the knowledge, to the events like we have today, or our policy support like peer reviews, matchmaking sessions, or help desk. So for instance, if you contact us and say, I would like to have the same thing that they have in Lemgo with the innovation campus in my region, how should I do that? Then we can organize matchmaking with the respective experts, or similar questions for other topics, of course. We've already implemented quite a lot of such sessions, either in the short online version, the matchmaking session, 1.5 hours together with experts, or the full 2 days versions to the peer reviews. So that works really well, and we have an open call on our website. So please make use of it to get more in depth into the good practices. Today, you just have scratched the surface with the presentations, even if they were well prepared. And you can learn more in the following events. I mentioned the launch of the call, and the Interreg Europe Secretariat organizes an event at this occasion on the 5th of April, and you can register on the website, and you will learn more about the call and match possibly with potential partners. And we have also upcoming in a few weeks the Policy Learning Week with different workshops and events from organized in the SME competitiveness sectors, like a workshop on the agri-food sector, but also our colleagues from innovation, for instance, with ISTRA implementation, or energy poverty from the energy aspects, and biodiversity also. So different workshops, different thematic areas. And finally, I would ask you kindly to take a few minutes to answer our survey, our satisfaction survey for the workshop today. It will be published by Eugenie through the chat normally, and you will also receive the link after the workshop. It's useful for us to learn about the feedback of our events. So we try to adapt to the feedback. So that would be the conclusion, the formal conclusion for the workshop today. Thank you, a very big thank you to all the speakers and to the participants also, of course. It's very nice to see the interest of the community in our events.